So why does Iago do this? What is his motivation? Well, a lot like Aaron the Moor from Titus Andronicus, rather like Don John the Bastard from Much Ado About Nothing, rather like Edmund, also a bastard from King Lear, and kind of sort of like Richard III, Iago doesn't seem to have a concrete motive. Now, he states several motives throughout the play, but he states each of them, if I recall correctly, only once. His first rationale is that he has been passed over for promotion in favor of Cassio. Cassio, who, quote, hath a daily beauty in his life that makes me ugly. That's an interesting sentence. I can kind of relate to that. Can I be quite honest with you guys? Right now in 2020, it's the beginning of April, my life sucks, and I won't go into all the reasons, but so I can understand. A good friend of mine is still an assistant professor in a department that shall be nameless. This friend of mine teaches only 3 courses per semester and makes literally twice my salary, and doesn't have composition papers to grade. Oh, Jesus. I'm extremely fond of this person, and I wish no ill to this person at all. But carefree on Facebook asking, hey, what should I do for my second career when I retire in just a few years? And I'm like, ugh. So I understand Cassio's or Iago's thing about Cassio hath a daily beauty that makes me ugly. This is one of those interesting bits in Shakespeare where Shakespeare puts into the mouths of characters a bit of psychology, a bit of wisdom about the human condition. When people talk about the greatness of Shakespeare, they refer to either artistic skill and or moments of real psychological insight. And I think that Iago's comment about Cassio's daily beauty making him, Iago, ugly is one of those psychological insights. Act 1, Scene 1, line 158, I think. Iago says that he hates Othello, quote, as I do hell pains. I'm not quite sure what hell pains are, but they sound like something you'd hate. But Iago gives no reason for this hatred. Act 1, Scene 3, around line 300, Iago says, he's heard that Othello has banged Emilia, Iago's wife. And he says, I know not if it be true, but 'twill serve as proof. No, 'twill serve as surety, I think is what he says. In other words, yeah, I heard Othello's been my wife. Is it true? I don't know, but let's say it is. Okay, so let's look at these things. Iago's first motivation is he's been passed over for promotion. We're going in order here. His next motivation is he has heard Othello has been having sex with Iago's wife. Shortly thereafter, well, several acts thereafter, that's when the Cassio hath a daily beauty that maketh me ugly. I'm horribly misquoting that. We get that. So, Iago's reasons. He's been passed over for promotion. Othello is doing Emilia. He just hates Othello, as he does Hell Pains, and he hates Cassio because everything's great for Cassio. But Iago never mentions any of these things again, all of them just once, which makes you wonder if any of them are actually a reason. This is where we get to that notion of motiveless malignancy. He's just a nasty son of a that's all there is to it. Now, critics have spent a lot of energy and a lot of time writing about what Iago's true motivations could be. And this is one of those topics about which I think we might as well give up, because I don't think there's a secret. I think Shakespeare needed a really bad guy for this plot, and so he made one up. Just like there's no real reason for Edmund in King Lear to be mean. No real reason for Don John in Much Ado to be mean. No real reason for Aaron in Titus Andronicus to be evil. They just are. And, you know, I think Shakespeare was a brilliant man and a really excellent writer, and he had a really good eye for people. But not every element of every work is some kind of word from the gods that we must take as sacred. Shakespeare was a brilliant guy. He was an amazing writer. He was a keen observer of humans. And he was writing for the bucks. He was writing plays that people would want to see and so would pay to want to see. This is how Shakespeare became pretty wealthy. Not through selling his plays, but because he was a shareholder in his theater company. So he was writing to bring people in, and people love to see a good bad guy. And I think that is, quite frankly, as deep as the motivation for Iago goes. This makes me a heretic among Shakespeare critics, but I'm actually pretty cool with that. It has been asserted that there are parallels between Othello and Iago. Both are soldiers. Iago at one point says of Othello, "In following him, I but follow myself." Both of them are jealous of whoever, because they assert that they think someone else has been doing it with their wives. There's that wedding between Othello and Iago. And I guess that's about it. I was thinking there was something else, but I can't recall it. So let's go with those things. Now, does this really mean that there are parallels between them? No, I don't think so. I don't think that Othello and Iago are two sides of the same coin. I just give you that observation because it's something you might run across if you're reading scholarship about Othello. Okay, we get to the final piece here. Finally, the miscellaneous stuff. There's all kinds of ironic foreshadowing in the play. In Act 1, Othello says of Desdemona, "Ah, excellent wretch." And then something about, "When I don't trust you, everything's going to go to hell," or something like that. The Turks. The Turkish threat in Renaissance England is something that was omnipresent in the literature, but not really explored. In fact, there's an area of scholarly investigation for you right there. Okay? Things go bad after our scene shift. The play begins in Venice and then moves to Cyprus, which is like an outpost on the front lines waiting for the Turkish invasion. Once we get there, then things start going downhill. And there's other Othello stuff. I know there is that I'm just not thinking of right now. So, y'all, that's what I've got for Othello. Thanks.